honestly, it probably only would have took a few hours, a couple, maybe 2-3 hours of really looking at something, or better yet, listening to someone who really knew what they were talking about, or someone who was really aligned with exactly what I was trying to learn. And if I had done that, it would have probably only took a couple hours, and would have had all the information I needed. And I would have had all that information because those people have done it before me. They messed up, they did things wrong, they did things right, and ultimately they came out and figured out what works and what doesn't work. And I'm just basically hacking the amount of time it takes to learn that process. I could have went through this process myself, just figured out went online, did a 5-minute search and figured out what the ketogenic diet looked like. 80-85% fat, 10% protein, and 5% carbs. I could have did it that way and then just, winged it myself and had a lot of mess ups and failures and probably would have had some fucking serious health issues. I could have did it that way, but I chose to do it the smart way and actually put in a little time, put in a little effort, and do the research myself into figuring out, how to actually do it right. As it turns out, that's what I want to give to you guys. I want to shave off the time that it's going to take for you to learn what you have to learn in regards to overcoming rejection, overcoming failures, overcoming all that shit that inevitably pops up in your life. So I'm going to shave off, hopefully anyways, I mean, this is just, wishful thinking, but it is possible. Hopefully I can shave off years of frustration in your life, because that's what it took me. It took me years before I was able to really overcome the impact that rejection and failure had on me. And that's, from age, say, I've been failing, everyone too, and this isn't just me, but everybody's been failing their entire life at different things. We're not just innately great at a ton of different shit, a multitude of different skills. We don't just come naturally pre-programmed in this world to fucking be great at everything. So naturally, we're going to fail at a lot of things. But from age, say, 12 to age 17, 18, about 5-6 years, I got rejected a lot, and the rejection stung the most in this period of my life. So from junior high to, say, the end of high school, senior year, graduating high school, 18 or so, 17, 18, rejection really hit me hard. And as you know, too, if you listen to any podcast, 17 years old, I was really suicidally depressed and incredibly anxious to the point where I was getting 3 to 4 panic attacks a week. No confidence, no self-esteem, no direction, no purpose, all that stuff. Everything just hit me hard, and I didn't have any of that shit. And for about a year or so, my life was misery. It was totally horrible. That's what it was for me. That was my reality, though. And it all, didn't all stem from this, but this all played a role. What we're talking about today played a role in why it was so bad for so long. And it's because I didn't know how to deal with rejection. I didn't know how to overcome failures that popped up. I didn't know how to go with the flow and just let shit bounce off of me and continue to do the things that I want to do. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. And so when it came time to get over rejection, to move past these things that weren't working for me, I didn't know how to do it, and I just get stuck. I got stuck, and I got further and further into the hole. I dug myself deeper and deeper into that hole, and it got worse and worse. And the depression got worse, the anxiety got worse, the self-esteem issues got worse, the confidence issues got worse. All of those things got worse because I couldn't just get past it. I couldn't snap my fingers and just fucking move on with my life. It wasn't something I knew how to do. It wasn't something I mentally, cognitively knew how to process, and it wasn't something I emotionally knew how to handle. But I'm going to talk about how you can better prepare for things like that and how you can better handle those things in a few minutes. But going back, just kind of going down, taking a trip down memory lane here. I do want to talk about a couple of funny little rejection stories, because this is, they're funny now, but at the time they were fucking pretty terrible. But I can remember my first real rejection was 6th grade. I think I was 12 years old, and there was this really cute girl that I liked, and I just remember, I had a huge crush on her, and she was that, just the cutest girl the coolest, cutest, prettiest girl in the grade, and everybody liked her. I thought she liked me. I thought things were good. We kind of had this little flirty thing going on. I thought everything was cool. I went home one day. This was back when there was AOL AIM or, AOL chat and all that shit. We had like screen names. I forget what mine was. It was something really ridiculoly stupid, though. I wish I could remember what it was. And I go online and we all had these like chat profiles and stuff. And I messaged her or something. And this was back in the day when you messaged a girl and asked her out on a date, or you asked her to be your girlfriend. And that was like, asking her out was just like through AIM chat. Like everybody did it back in the day. So I went on, thinking I was cool and thinking that this girl liked me and thinking, everything was going to be great. I went on, I AIM chatted her and asked her to be my girlfriend on AIM. And needless to say, it didn't work out. And she said no. I think she actually was really nice about it. And she kind of put me down lightly. But, being a 12-year-old with high ambitions and love in my heart and not being able to see clearly or think clearly back then, I took it to heart and it really stung. And the next day I remember going in and as nice as this girl was, or as polite as you can be, as one girl can be through AIM chat, apparently she had told a couple of her friends that I'd asked her out, and they all I just remember going in the next day and for some reason the whole class knew, and eventually the whole grade, which was like 120 150 kids. But our whole class definitely knew. We were actually in an honors class, and there was like 30 of us. And I go in the next day, and basically the whole class is snickering at me and laughing behind my back. And basically that fucking stung. Like that was really bad. That one hurt. That one really hurt. And for the next couple weeks or whatever, kids are kind of making fun of me. They were laughing at me. The guys in the class were giving me shit, and the girls, thought I was basically a loser. I don't know why. I mean, this is just normal shit. You're 12 years old. This kind of shit happens. But I don't know why I took it to heart so much, but I did. And after that, in this day and age, if I had known, you always wish you can go back in time or whatever. If I had known what I know now, the whole thing wouldn't have played out that way anyways. I would have just played it off cool. Not having the dating skills I have now, I probably would have been able to date her. But even if I wasn't, I would have played it off cool, and I wouldn't even have took that rejection. I would have laughed it off and literally just like fucking totally didn't think about it. But I thought about it for a few weeks and messed with my like confidence, and I was pretty confident back then at the time, but it messed with my confidence. And I think, I didn't really talk to that girl again as much as we were like friends before. I didn't really talk to her again. We're kind of, still friends a little bit after that, but it was sort of weird. It was a little awkward. And, that was it. Like, I didn't know how to deal with that situation. I didn't know how to bounce back and just like pretend like it didn't happen or act like it wasn't a big deal. To me, I wore my heart on my sleeve and everybody knew it and everybody could see it. It was all over my face. It was all over my body language. I was fucking hurt from that. And it continued to stay with me for a little while afterwards. Like even if I bounced back and the kids weren't necessarily making fun of me a few weeks later, it stuck with me probably for the next year or so. Because it was just like something you'd see out of a movie where all the kids are laughing and you just look like a fool. And it made me more cautious about doing that kind of thing. And I didn't ask a girl out, I think, for another couple of years, for like another 2 years. And then I actually had a girlfriend, I think, in the 8th grade, and then got dumped by her. She called up one of her friends or something, had her friend dump me, which sucked too. There was another rejection that really fucking stung. But yeah, those little things right there stuck with me. And then going into high school, I didn't really have the confidence I wanted to. Normal guys, I think, would have just moved past this. They wouldn't have stuck around and, had those thoughts linger in their mind. But there was something a little different about me. Like I said, I wear my heart on my shoulder, or my sleeve, whatever you want to say, or I used to all the time. I'm pretty honest. I'm pretty straightforward with pretty much everybody I come in contact with. And I'm basically that same guy. Like I don't hold a lot of shit back when I'm talking to people. I'm honest with people. I'm very nice to people, but I'm also very upfront and honest. I don't like to really bullshit people at all. And so when I'm mad, people know I'm mad. When I'm upset, they know I'm upset. When I'm flustered, they can fucking tell I'm flustered. I don't often get flustered though these days. I really don't. I don't really honestly get mad these days. I don't get rattled fucking ever. I mean, I really honestly can't remember the last time I got rattled. It was probably like fucking 7 years ago, something like that, right? I just don't get upset really. I don't get rattled. Don't really get angry too often, because I've learned to condition myself not to be. I used to be very reactive, very emotional. I still, like I said, I'm very upfront, and you can tell the mood I'm in. And typically, I'm in a great mood. Typically, I'm pretty happy and joking, and that's how I like to be in life. I like to take things not so seriously, and I like to have a good time, and I like to enjoy, and I like to tease people and joke around, and make fun of myself too. And that's how I am. But when I'm upset, you'll know I'm upset. When there's something wrong, I'll say that there's something wrong. I have no problem at all with calling somebody out or saying what has to be said if it has to be said. But that said, I wasn't always this way, and it took me a while to get over it. And going, I guess, through high school, maybe sophomore, I think it was actually junior year, there was this girl. I sat next to her in class. Here's another good story. I sat next to her in class, and she was really cute. She told me I was cute, so that was a good sign. Sat next to her in class. She was like one of those outgoing girls too, which back at the time I had fucking no confidence, so I wasn't going to do anything. This was actually like right around the time or right after, I think, or right before the time I'd been really anxious and depressed and was going through all these problems. So needless to say, I really didn't have that much confidence, and I absolutely had fucking zero game. So that wasn't going to happen as far as me hitting on her and, being the Mac Daddy and getting her number and all this other shit. That totally wasn't happening. But so she was one of those outgoing girls. We sat next to each other in class. She's flirting. I was kind of flirting with her a little bit. I was cute, good-looking guy. I was 17 years old. Good-looking guy. I was going to the gym and in good shape. And she thought I was cute, gave me her number, was texting me all the time. And probably for a couple of weeks, I forget. This is in one of the books I wrote too, by the way. It's either in Approaching Women or it's in Giving Shy Guys Game, a couple of dating books I wrote way back when. This story's in it. So if I mess up one of the details, don't quote me on it. But it was basically like a couple of days, a couple of weeks, going back and forth. We're talking, we're having a good time. Through text anyways. Like, I'm thinking this girl's like my next girlfriend. She fucking likes me a lot. Like, this is so cool because I had no other girls that I really talked to. I was very shy. I was very insecure, etc. She's talking to me for a few weeks. Things are going great. I think, like, this is the girl of my fucking dreams. I'm going to marry her. This is so cool. She loves me. She's texting me all the time. Eventually, after a couple of weeks of this back and forth, maybe a week or so, 2 weeks, whatever, I don't know. We're going back and forth, and eventually she says something like, we're going to go to the movies or whatever, so we have plans. We end up setting up this date to go to the movies together, and I don't recall exactly what had happened, what had transpired, like the day before or that day of, but I do recall later on when I learned some of the dating skills and did research into improving my dating life and learning all this dating advice from dating coaches and pickup artists online and all this other shit. I'd learned right away that I was a fucking complete chode, like, loser through text and had absolutely zero text game. So I was just saying the dumbest shit you could possibly imagine. I do remember that. So I don't recall the exact text. It'd be pretty cool to go back in time or if I just had somehow like saved that on some SIM card or whatever and I could pull those up. But I do remember that these texts that I was sending this girl were absolutely fucking horrible and just made me look like a complete loser. So everything I said was like just ass kissing. It was agreeing with the things she said. It was like asking her like, oh, what do you want to do? Like, oh, like she's saying like, oh, do you want to go to the movies or something? And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. If you want to go, we can go. Or, what movie do you want to watch? Oh, whatever you want to watch. I forget it. I think I actually do remember her name, but I'm not going to say it. So we'll just say her name's Jane because it's not Jane. So it was like, yeah, Jane, like we can think of, whatever you want to, whatever you can think of, we'll go to that movie. I just want to make you happy. And, I'm texting this girl for like a fucking week or two and I'm already acting like we've been married for like 30 years. And I'm just saying the lamest shit possible in these texts. So long story short, this goes on for a week or two and I don't even know how it lasted that long now that I think about it now. But I'm just totally putting up the worst possible dating game you could have in a 17-year-old young man's arsenal, and she for some reason stuck around that long. But on the day of we're supposed to go to the movies, I text her and she doesn't respond, and I wait like maybe an hour or something, text her back, and I forget, I wish I remember the exact details, but I mean, this is the gist of the story. Say we were supposed to go out at like 5 to the movies or something, 5 at night. I texted her at like, 12. and she didn't answer. And I text her at like 1. She didn't answer. And I text her again maybe at around like 2 or 2:30, saying,